Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with the political science lesson number 4, that is Contemporary India Challenges to Peace, Stability and National Integration. It's the sixth part of this lesson. You can refer 5 parts of the political science lesson number 4. Previously, already I have uploaded on YouTube. Now we are going to start with the sixth part of this lesson. See, in the previous lectures, we have learned about unemployment, poverty, literacy, social inequality, democracy, the democratic system and democratic government of India, and how we have adopted this democratic government, then constitution in our India. That history we have learned. Now we are going to start with the structural dimensions. Already we have learned in the last chapter that there are two types of dimensions. One is structural dimension and second is psychological dimension. So structural dimension means what? That we are going to learn today. If we want to study the structural dimension, in that case, first of all, we have to learn about our Indian democracy as well as the constitution. Even the Indian government has been provided us few values. That values are common citizenship, unity in diversity, feeling of loyalty to the nation, sense of fraternity among all diverse communities, secularism, socio-economic and political justice, and last one was equality. So these values already we have learned in the previous lecture, and upon that values, upon that base, we need to learn the structural dimension and psychological dimension of our administration system or the government system. Now very first is why it is require the structural dimensions. As we have adopted the democracy, republic democracy, so in that case, structural dimension means we have a particular structure, we have a particular set of government, formation is there, centralization, specialization, standardization, complexity and hierarchy of authority. Means we have a particular structure, a framework where the Indian government has adopted constitution, and from 1950 we have started implementing that constitution. Fine. So here structural dimension means we have structure of administration. So what is the structure of administration? That we are going to learn first. See, this is the administration system, and as we have adopted structural dimension, structural system, so here we have central government. In the central government you will see the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, these two houses, these two chambers, they are running our government. This is known as central government. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Last year also you have learnt about the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Even till the 10th standard you must have learnt about it. So these are the central government, and it governs the whole country, it controls the whole country, and they are controlling the state government also. See, there is a maybe there is a communication gap between central government and state government, but still Rajyapal, he is a person. Rajyapal means governor. He is a person who is bridge between central government and state government. Okay, so after central government there is a state government. So in state we have Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. You will not find the Vidhan Parishad and Vidhan Sabha in all over the states. Only 6 or 7 states are there, those who have both the chambers. Both the chambers means Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. Otherwise, other states, they have the either uh, Sabha, means either Vidhan Sabha or Vidhan Parishad. So the Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad, they are controlling, they are governing the particular state, and governor, he is a person who is governing or who is control over the state government or state functions. After that we have Jilla Parishad, means on the district level, means central level, state level. After the district level we have various Jilla Parishad, and Jilla Parishad is controlling, is governing the district government. And very last is the local government, that is Gram Panchayat or Panchayati Raj, we can say. So local government, you must have heard the word Sarpanch. Sarpanch means at the village level, at the very first local body level, we have Sarpanch, and that Sarpanch is controlling the administration system of that particular village. So village, district, state and center, this is the hierarchy of our local body government, or we can say the administration system. So who has given this structure? The constitution has been decided, has been construct that structure, and the whole government is running through the structure, and that is known as structural dimensions. So for what purpose we have that structure? To run our government, to run our system very smoothly, and that is why we have decided, we have framework of this structure. Next is the national consolidation we need, and for that national unity, national integration, national consolidation, we have that type of structure, and through this structure we are governing our government. Okay. Next is Panchayati Raj. As I told you that Panchayati Raj and the Panchayat Samiti, then Gram Panchayat, these are the local body government which works in the root level. Root means village level. So here Panchayati Raj amendment also had been done by the constitution. Next is, we'll move towards the next point. Yes, as I told you that there is a structure of central government, then local body structure. So here, who will run that offices? See, once we have framework, we have all constructed government also, means municipality, Nagar Parishad, Nagar Palika, then Vidhan Parishad, Vidhan Sabha, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. But they have formed under that title, the Indian government have formed various offices, and they are performing various roles for the social, political and economic development of our country. So how they are proceeding, how the work is going on, and for that purpose we have various exams, administrative level exams. So through that exams you can be a part and parcel of this administrative system. So IAS is one type of exam which, if you qualify this exam, you can be a part and parcel of the administration system. Here I have put a few information of IAS examination. Go through it if you are very much interested in UPSC and MPSC exams. So after graduation you can appear for the UPSC and MPSC exams. Even not only IAS but IPS, IFS and IRS. These are the exams. Through these exams you can participate in government, and you can serve for the society of India, you can serve for the Indian government. Even you can you can take efforts for the national integration, national unity. As I told you that IFS exam is there, Indian Foreign Service. See, these exams provides you various scopes. you have to learn the scopes of this examination. IRS examination, Internal Revenue Service. Then these are few examinations. Through this examination you can be an officer in government offices. So the government, yeah, structure is there, government is providing services also, you can serve for government, and obviously the government will pay you better for this after this qualifying examinations. One more thing I would like to share here, that constitution provided us the federal structure of government. So federal structure of government means what? Which is the central government and the state government. That system is known as federal structure. In our country we have the strong central government, but state government, they do not have that much we can say powers or responsibility like central government. So in our country the central government is more powerful, more strong than the state government. But if you see, if you take the example of America, in America the state government is more powerful and the state government is controlling on the central government, because in America, first of all, many states they come together and they have formed the central government. But in our India the vice versa situation is there. First of all, the after the independence we had a central government, and that central government formed the state governments. Okay, and because of that the central government has more power than the state government, and central government is controlling the state government. Not only state government but the Jilla Parishad, local government, Gram Panchayati Raj, municipal government. So that type of governments, that type of systems has been controlled by the central government in our country. In other countries they have their own system, means yeah, they also have the central government, state government, but as per their requirement, as per the need of that country, historical need, geographical need, political need, they have their own system. This is, we are talking all about the Indian government system. Then amendments, I told you that 73 and 74th amendment means what? To make changes in the constitution. See, Baba Saheb Ambedkar and other constituent members, they have formed a particular constitution, but in that they have mentioned that you can, means the next generation, the future leaders, they could make the corrections in that constitution, and that correction is known as amendment. Amendment means what? अमेंडमेंट को हम बोलते हैं घटना दुरुस्ती. अगर हमें ऐसा लगता है कि हमें कुछ अमेंड करना है, कुछ करेक्ट करना है, कुछ जो अभी तक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में है, और उससे हमें आगे जाकर अगर कुछ सर्वोच्च न्यायालय का और उच्च न्यायालय का कुछ ऑर्डर आता है, प्रोविज़न किया जाता है, नए लॉ बनाए जाते हैं, वो सब हम क्या करते हैं, अमेंडमेंट के अंदर वो करेक्शन करते हैं. Let's take one example of amendment. What we have seen, amendment means ghatana durusti, or to correct something or to make changes in the constitution. So whatever laws, provisions, articles are new, that things we are adding in that constitution, and that is known as amendments. See the example. A new law has been passed by Supreme Court. The Supreme Court on Tuesday held that daughters, like sons, have an equal birthright to inherit joint Hindu family property. The court decided that the amended Hindu Succession Act, which gives daughters equal right to ancestral property, will have a retrospective effect. Means what? Nowadays, means after passing this law, the daughters, they started getting a equal right in the ancestral property, means not only his father's property but the ancestral's property. Ancestral means the property which is inherit by the forefathers. मतलब क्या है, अगर जो प्रॉपर्टी है सिर्फ फादर की नहीं, उसके फादर की, उनके फादर की, जिसको हम इनहेरिट बोलते हैं, तो वो जो प्रॉपर्टी है उस प्रॉपर्टी में इक्वल शेयर किसका है, डॉटर का भी है. मतलब सन एंड डॉटर दे विल गेट इक्वल प्रॉपर्टी in the ancestral property. Fine, equal share they will get. So this law has been passed by the Supreme Court, and this law has been amended in the constitution. Means we had written that law in the constitution also. So necessarily changes had been make in the constitution also, and that is known as amendment. Now let's see the next thing. I would like to tell you about language. Here in the structural dimension, the language plays a vital role. Means Government of India has given, just a minute. We have started the structural dimensions. So Government of India has given right to the states to accept or adopt regional language. See, in our country we have states, and in all the states they have their own regional language. Fine. So Marathi, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Gujarati, Marwadi, Rajasthani, these are the languages, and that languages are known as official languages, and Government of India has grant that recognition of that languages, or that grant the status of that language. So each and every state they could we can say maintain their identity. We have seen the central identity and individual identity and state identity. So here if states they could maintain the state identity, if they could maintain their own individual identity, obviously that identities leads towards the national integration, leads towards the national unity. As the Constitution of India has given us freedom to adopt any religion, to adopt any language, or to roam anywhere in our country. Means what? They have given us freedom. We have liberal kind of democracy, liberal kind of government system, and that is why we are united because of official languages, because of religion. The state government and central government, they are taking care of all these aspects. Yeah, though the casteism is there, communalism is there, regionalism, linguism. Linguism means what? The state language. For example, if I am traveling through the Karnataka, so if I means I don't know the language of Kannada, but that time with which language I could communicate with them? Obviously with our national language, that is Hindi. हम उसको राष्ट्रीय भाषा बोलते हैं. तो हिंदी लैंग्वेज से मैं क्या करती हूँ, वहाँ पे कम्युनिकेट करती हूँ. इवन द पर्सन हु डू नॉट or who don't know the Marathi, they also can communicate in Maharashtra with Hindi or Marathi. So somewhere we have we started eradicating the linguism. Linguism means a particular language is spoken in particular state. So with the help of English and with the help of Rashtra Bhasha Hindi or national language Hindi, we started maintaining, we are leading towards the national unity or national integration. So we have started eradicating the linguism also. Next part is about NIC. Let's see what does it mean by NIC in structural dimension. See, NIC. It is a National Integration Conference. It is a full form of NIC. National Integration Conference means what? In that three words you will get the meaning of NIC. Meaning of this board means we need to maintain, we need to conserve our national integration, and for that purpose the Indian government, they are uh, started implementing few formulas, they have started implementing few things. So in that implementation, very first they have started with one conference. They have started with National Integration Conference. It was held in 1961 first time. And what was the aim of that conference? Means why we have started this conference or started with NIC. Just now I explained that we need to eradicate. Eradicate means what? हमें वो समाज में से वो कम करना है, समाज में से वो हमें समूल क्या करना है, हमें वो नष्ट करना है, निकाल देना है समाज से. तो हमें समाज में से, सोसाइटी से क्या क्या निकालना है? हमें कम्युनलिज्म है, कास्टिज्म, रीजनलिज्म, लिंग्विज्म, नैरो माइंडेडनेस, ये जो सारा हमारे समाज में एक हम बोल सकते कि evil practices है, these are the evil practices, so that we have to eradicate by National Integration Conference. Communalism means सोसाइटी में ये है डिस्प्यूट्स है. कास्टिज्म, कास्ट में भी डिस्प्यूट्स है. द करंट न्यूज़ टुडे द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, they have not passed the law of Maratha Arakshan, or they have not passed the bill for reservation of Maratha. See, before that, previously the state government and supreme government, they were thinking of that. The state government has given reservation for Maratha people, and after that the Maratha people, they started getting reservation in education and in jobs. But now the supreme government, they have not passed the bill. The uh, it is pending, means this bill is pending right now. They have, means we have got stay on this bill, Maratha Arakshan or SEBC format we can say, or SEBC caste certificate. For that we have got stay. Fine. So this is the new. See, once that reservation, if the supreme government pass the bill of Maratha reservation, then automatically in the constitution we can amend the previous bill, we can amend the previous provision and article. Fine. But till yet the procedure has not been completed. The procedure has been pending. Let's see what will happen in the future, whether the Maratha people, they will get reservation or not. That we will see. Now what is the aim of NIC? The next aim is, the conference decided that National Integration Council to review all matters pertaining to national integration and to make recommendations thereon. Okay. The next point is, the Indian Constitution has provided certain fundamental duties for Indian citizens. In the previous, means last year also, you have learnt about the fundamental duties and fundamental rights, and you people very well know about the fundamental duties and rights. Let's see in the box. NIC, National Integration Council was contributed to review all matters pertaining the national integration. The NIC held its first meeting in 1962. 1961 they were started with the procedure of NIC conference, and at the end of 1961 and at the starting of 1962, the first conference was held. After that they have given information about Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Here I have given the full name of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, means Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Now for what purpose he started going against casteism, because he fought a lot, then he struggled a lot for the equality, for the right of education, for the right of equal society. For that also he had work a lot. He had taken lots of efforts, even not for that education only, but the economic equality, social equality, and political equality. He struggled a lot. So let's see. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was an Indian jurist, economist, politician, and social reformer who inspired the Dalit Buddhist movement and campaigned against social discrimination towards the untouchable. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was known as the untouchable, and for this discrimination, he struggled a lot. And as you all know, he was the eminent personality to form the constitution, and because of his efforts, his struggle, we have got a big, largest constitution in our country. One more thing, he said that Baba Sahib Ambedkar said that the first thing in my judgment we must do is to hold fast to constitutional methods of achieving social and economic objectives. It means we must abandon bloody methods of revolution. It is his own perception, we can say it is his own opinion, which Baba Sahib Ambedkar has been mentioned here. So I hope you all have understood the structural dimension. Next we are going to see the psychological dimension. What we have seen, we have a structure of constitution, okay, and after that the psychological dimension means what? If we could uh, perform all the activities properly, if we could perform, or if we could run the administration smoothly, then individually we get satisfaction. Fine. That is known as the psychological dimension, means to feel satisfied. Okay. Okay, let's learn about psychological dimension. See, what we have seen, once we achieve the national integration, national unity, then automatically the people, they will get a feeling that we all are one. The unitedness, oneness feeling, emotions will be there in the minds of people. Means we all are Indians. See, through the national anthem, through the national emblem, national board, national animal, what we are displaying, what we are denoting, that we all are one, we all are Indian citizens. That oneness emotion, oneness feeling is known as the known as the psychological dimension. So what has been mentioned here, the national freedom movement played an important role in bringing the Indians together politically, emotionally, into a common framework of political identity and loyalty. See, why we wanted freedom, why a particular country or individuals they want freedom, for their we can say they can live their life easily. They can live their life with their own opinions, with their own laws, with their own rules and regulations, and that is why country or the people, they want independence. Fine. So here the freedom movements, they lead the common citizens towards the national integration, towards the unity, because they were taking efforts for the independence only. See, after independence, the British rule has been totally rooted by our freedom strugglers. Okay, so before that, before independence, the Britishers, they were ruling our country, but after independence, we people, with the help of democratic value, we have started uh, running our government smoothly, and that is known as the psychological dimension. We have got that satisfaction that we all Indians are together. We can run our country by our own people only. Okay, so how we can maintain, how we can conserve that psychological integration? Through the national songs, Vande Mataram, then national anthem, that is Jana Gana Mana. We have our national flag, we have the national emblem also, that four-headed lion, that is the national emblem of our country. The national bird, peacock is our national bird, national animal, and so on. See, uh, why we have decided all the national things? Because to uh, present our country in front of other countries as a united nation, and that is known as psychological dimension of the government. Okay, fine. uh, I hope that you all have understood the structural dimensions, psychological dimensions. If you have any doubt, you can comment me in the comment box. And in the next lecture, we are going to learn the challenges in front of us, in front of our country. Okay, students, bye bye. Have a nice day. Bye bye.